Are you struggling to touch your toes? Your hamstrings and calves are probably tight and your hip flexors may be weak. Want to take your flexibility from this to this? Today, you'll learn the most effective exercises to increase your flexibility fast. Don't be surprised if you can touch your toes after finishing this simple series. So myofascial release can be really helpful for increasing range of motion. Why is this so effective and how do you like to use it?
Well, I like to do it at the start of my training, and it's super effective because fascia starts from the base of the foot and then goes all the way up to the skull, right? So if you release fascia or the muscle at the base of the foot, you'll feel some release in tension somewhere up the chain. How I would do it, let's say I'm trying to work on getting more range of motion in my hamstring, I'll first release the base of my foot. I'd spend, let's say, 30 seconds there, and that immediately will have an effect when I try to do a forward, for example. So I would always do the start, but it's only temporary, right? So if I do that, and let's say an hour later, it'll probably come back to its original stretch. So I always do the start, and then I'll work on more strengthening work. So I have access to that range of motion, and then I can work with that range of motion in terms of strengthening it.
I was going to say the exact same thing. The misconception about myofascial release foam rolling is that it's effective and permanent in and of itself. That's not the case. It's just a temporary reduction in your nervous system's kind of fight or flight, hold on response. And it helps you to perhaps increase your stretch tolerance when used. So watching TV, doing myofascial release, feeling good, increasing your range of motion, if you just sit there, not the best thing, but when immediately followed by movement, beautiful.
100%. It's all about having an integrative approach, right? It's like when you have an injury, you can't just go to a physio and expect that physio to fix you. You have to work on other things, like trying other approaches, maybe needling, but at the end of the day, you have to strengthen it. That's the main thing, right? So that's why I feel like having an integrative approach, experimenting with different things, actually makes it much more of a holistic and whole picture approach.
Most definitely. And with the touching your toes, people think that it's just hamstrings. But for me in particular, my calves and Achilles are a real limiting factor. And you can notice this for yourself if you feel tightness in those areas behind your calf and ankle region. And also if when you're moving to bend down, you've got this real posterior weight shift. So for me, if I just do the toe touch stretch, then I'm not going to access my furthest range of motion. Whereas if I'm trying to improve it, working on the isolated components, myofascial release, calves, then also doing hamstrings is an effective way to bring it all together.
Add on some dynamic movements that will then further enhance that range of motion they can get. So then you can then do the next step, which would be strengthening all of that. So it's like a 3-step approach, doing myofascial release, doing some dynamic stuff, and then doing some strength-related things.
What's really helpful is learning how to activate and move correctly. So starting with the pike compression block crush, that's a real tongue twister there, but we got it, is helpful because it teaches you how to fold forward and use your muscles correctly. So by getting a co-contraction of the hip flexors and hamstrings, it teaches you how to actually move forward and fold forward to your full capacity. If you hadn't done that, for myself, I tend to be quite guarded when I move. I get to the sticking point, everything gets tight. But if I've activated my nervous system, taught those areas, like my hip flexors how to contract, as well as the hamstrings to fold forward, I find it's a great warm-up drill to start with.
Yeah, having something there that you can kind of have that kinesthetic awareness definitely helps you to kind of feel where you should be activating, what muscles should be engaged. But you're right, like I was saying, like if I try going to a forward fold, it just feels like there's so many things happening there that I'm not actually sure what I should be feeling. But yeah, having that block there definitely helps with that movement.
Yeah, and also just choosing the right contraction intensity is useful too. You don't want to do a 10 out of 10 contraction. You also don't want to be chilling there doing a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
So what is helpful for me is getting to my point of stretch resistance, either staying there or backing off very slightly. Then I can comfortably and confidently contract, build up those 3 to 5 second ISOs with 7 out of 10 contraction, chill, repeat it a few times, then I'm ready for what's to come.
For sure. I think also it's just a matter of just building up that tension over time. So like you said, you just start off slow, trying to get that body awareness, and as you feel more comfortable, you kind of just press a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more until you get a nice activation in that muscle.
Then it prepares you to do the serious work, which is the pike compression lifts. These are terrible for absolutely everyone, and we both experience this, which is abdominal cramps.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're folding forward, you're contracting your hip flexors simultaneously with your abs. Do not be surprised if you get ab cramps, and in particular, your quad is definitely going to cramp because your rectus femoris crosses both the knee and the hip, so it's that biarticular muscle, and it will cramp. Does it ever get easy? No.
No, like I've been doing this for a while and I always cramp, like guaranteed cramp. I know I'm gonna cramp, but there's ways to get around that. I think as soon as that set is over, just try to stretch out those muscles, like go into like a hero's pose or something like that, and then stay in that position. That will help to release the tension. So then the next set won't be as crampy. Probably still crampy, but not as crampy.
You just learn how to tolerate the suck, and your range of motion improves, and you embrace how much it sucks because it's so effective.
For 100% sure. I mean, to some degree, it could be a sign of weakness. So that obviously is something you need to kind of work on. So it's just a matter of just pushing through it and then just keep going with it.
You don't have to spend hours stretching every single day. Just click the top link in this video to get our Fitness FAQs mobility programs. I'll teach you how to move freely and feel good in your body. The banded hamstring stretch, I really love this one because you can use a little bit of assistance to help you with that compression. And then your goal is to try and extend your leg as much as you physically can. Your quads may cramp again. You're going to shake. You'll definitely feel this in the hamstring. But I love it because it's a assisted stretch. If you were to there try and lift up yourself and do it, you wouldn't get anywhere near as much of that compression. And it just allows you to play with how much tension, how much you contract, and it feels safe.
100%. I think it's also a really good beginner exercise because you can lie down on the ground and then your back doesn't really round as much, so it's a much more of a strict movement. So the back kind of stays flat and you can focus purely on the hamstring, which is what I really like about that exercise. Whereas if you're doing one where you're hinging like this, it's very easy to kind of round like this, and that's where you can kind of run into problems with those kind of those drills.
Yeah. Moving on to the Jefferson curl. This is the absolute bread and butter compound lift for hamstring development, strength at length, range of motion, being able to fold and touch your legs as well. This is great because it allows you to load up a little bit of like an active assisted stretch, but also build strength in that ROM. A few different ways you can do it. You can use a kettlebell to fold forward. One great thing that I learned from you is just pulse at the end. There's no real benefit to the hamstrings coming all the way up, resting, going down to the end. Go to your safe end range of motion, pulse out of that end range with control to build strength.
Yeah, so what I like to do with that exercise, I prefer to kind of just pulse at that bottom range of motion, so I'm focusing purely on the hamstrings. And I like to use it in a Zercher position, so having like a bar in my elbows, that feels like the weight is much more centered, and it feels much more comfortable when I'm actually performing the movement. So I kind of enjoy just pulsing there. It feels way more comfortable for when I perform that one.
I was skeptical when you were teaching me how to do this one. I was using an 8 kilo kettlebell and I felt pretty safe and comfortable. But I found that surprisingly, the barbell Jefferson did feel more secure. I could stay more compressed. It actually felt safer despite the weight being twice as much.
It feels like, I don't know if it's because the weight is much more closer to your center, therefore it feels like it's a much more natural movement. Whereas if you're holding something in your hands, it feels kind of further away from your center of gravity. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but I just know it feels good.
Either way, you're doing 40 kilos on that Jefferson curl.
That was just warm up. Like I can do way more than that.
Yeah,
But
so here you go, guys. It's the goals, like range of motion, flexibility. It doesn't have to be just a passive stretch, doing just gentle yoga. It can be serious strength training as well.
Yeah, for sure. But I think with that kind of exercise, it doesn't need to be super heavy. The weight just needs to be heavy enough to get you deeper, but not to the point where you're panicking. Because if the weight's too heavy and you start panicking, that's where things can start to get a bit sketchy. So you just need to choose a weight that's heavy enough to get you deeper, whereby you can breathe and feel comfortable and actually perform kind of contractions to get yourself deeper in that position as well.
The key with this is range of motion as the progressive overload principle first. If we do just strength training, we want to try and lift heavier over time, keep our form the same. With this, we want to choose a weight where we're trying to just increase the ROM. That's the goal with mobility stuff.
Correct. And I think if you also combine it with that strength training aspect, it feels like you're doing what you're already doing at the gym, which is lifting weights.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of concept, except you're just going for more end range of motion.
What I also find helpful for people that get this neural sensitivity, a strange kind of like nerve sensation when they go to do forward folding. Some sciatic nerve glides are really helpful for stretching the nerve as opposed to just bending forward, because it allows you to get deeper, but how it stretches the nerve from two different parts with the dorsiflexion and the neck component may reduce your neural sensitivity. So that if you do this followed by your range of motion stuff, may be good if you're struggling with that problem.
Yeah, I think there's tools for everything. It's just a matter of knowing how to use those tools and when. But like I said, it's all about having this integrative approach to training to make it kind of suitable for what you need to do.
And with the hamstrings, it is a really smart idea to tackle it with a flex spine as well as a hinged spine, just to access different parts of the hamstring. Maybe it's distal or proximal, different sensation, different stimulus. What do you think about that?
Yeah, 100%. I think if you just stick to one particular way of doing something, then you're only going to be good at doing that. But as a human, we should be able to move in much more of a variety of different ways. So yeah, experimenting with a flex, experimenting with a hinge, definitely, 100%.
For this range of motion stuff, prescription of sets, reps, hold time, I like a 10 reps plus a 10 to 30 second hold on the last one. If I had to give a nice universal principle to apply for mobility, what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you want to go more minimalistic, you could just do even 2 sets if you're strapped for time. I think that still works. Just probably means you need to have a bit more intensity to it. But yeah, 100%, like 3 sets, just like any of your other kind of strength training, treat it the same. 3 sets, 10 to 12 repetitions is a sweet spot.
And this stuff doesn't take a lot of time. You have to do just a few of the key movements that address each of those components: hamstring, hip flexor, calf, a little bit of myofascial release, quality over quantity. I would err on the side of 2 sets for each movement, but really doing it properly instead of, I'm doing 3 sets, 4 sets, 5, but I'm just going through the motions.
Yeah, I think a lot of people treat mobility that way. They don't really kind of push it like it's strength training. They kind of feel like it's more just, oh yeah, I'm just gonna hang here for a second or hang for a while. This weight's, yes, it's okay. But yeah, you really have to treat it like strength. If you want to get stronger in that range of motion, you got to spend time, you got to actually push, you got to teach your body that it's okay to be safe in that position. So yeah, 100%. You got to have good intensity for those mobility exercises.
Don't be surprised if you get sore too. If I'm just doing a really gentle yoga, passive stretching session, I feel good during, but I don't actually meaningfully change my range of motion. Whereas if I do a hard workout of toe touching stuff, my hip flexors are sore, my hamstrings are sore. But then when I come back the next session, maybe 3, 5, 7 days later, I actually have access to that range of motion. I won't always improve and get more mobile every session, but I know that over time, this will transform me.
It's like all things, like you have to stay consistent no matter what happens. Like you're always gonna have those up and down periods where you feel like you're progressing. Sometimes I feel like you're not progressing, you're plateauing. But yeah, you gotta stick with it. But yeah, like what you said, it's you probably will feel sore from it if you put that intensity into it. But if you don't put that intensity into it, you're probably just not doing too much.
Work hard on that, and don't be surprised if you'll be able to touch your toes and beyond with that simple but effective series of exercises. If you need more help increasing your range of motion as an adult, click this video to get more flexible now.